Hello, everyone. This is Arnaldo broadcasting from Fidelio's Frequency, and welcome to my channel. 2022 is coming to an end, and like many other publications or YouTubers, I thought it would be cool to share with you some of my favorite albums of the year. And of course, I didn't get around to hearing or purchasing as many releases as I would have loved to. There's probably so many more that I didn't have a chance to get to listen to or didn't even get exposed to. So please comment below if you think that I've missed something that was absolutely spectacular, or feel free to also share your choices. So I guess we should just get started. At number 10, I selected Father John Misty, Chloe and the Next 20th Century. I believe this is his fifth album. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm mistaken. And Father John Misty is no other than Josh Tillman. On this album, he kind of like veers away from his last two albums, which were a bit more grand in production, grand orchestration, I would say, and makes it a bit more intimate. The feel that I get is sometimes that of a small nightclub. There's a bit more jazz. It's slightly jazz influenced. There's a bossa nova track. Still very beautiful orchestrations on this album, which is produced by Jonathan Wilson. And take note of Jonathan Wilson. He will reappear as a producer a bit later in this video. Not in person, but featured on another record. This album, like I said, has some really beautiful orchestrations and arrangements, but most of all, it's Josh Tillman's songwriting that takes front stage and his beautiful voice. So I'll just spin this around a bit so that you guys can see the beautiful artwork all in black and white, which kind of like is very in tune with the mood of this album. Like I said, reminds me of an intimate nightclub. So that was number 10, Father John Misty, Chloe and the Next 20th Century. On to number 9, Cheat Codes. Cheat Codes is a project of Danger Mouse and Black Thought. Danger Mouse, many of you know from his other production roles. He was half of Gnarls Barkley, but has produced so many records. And Black Thought is the MC and founding member of The Roots. What is this record? I can't really say it's a pure hip hop or rap record. Maybe from a lyrical point of view, because Black Thought and his lyrical mastery and his wit, you could consider it a rap or hip hop album. But all of this is on a very cinematic soundscape produced by Danger Mouse and performed by Danger Mouse, mostly due to retro soul samples, but also live instrumentation, and always arranged in a very cinematic. I really don't have any other word to describe it other than cinematic. And those of you who are familiar with Danger Mouse's productions clearly know what I'm talking about. As if Black Thought wasn't enough, there's also some amazing guest features. Soul singer Michael Kiwanuka also is on the chorus of one of the songs, A$AP Rocky, Run the Jewels, and also a long lost verse from MF Doom is featured on here in one of the songs. I am not a hip hop or rap connoisseur, so I think if this album reached me and I connected with this album, it definitely means that even those of you who are not fans of rap or not really into hip hop and that genre may find this also really interesting. So number 9, Cheat Codes, Danger Mouse and Black Thought. Bronco by Orville Peck. Orville Peck. This is Orville Peck's second album after his indie debut on Sub Pop, which was called Pony, which he appeared as this masked, fringed cowboy. Orville Peck is just an alias. It's still there's still a lot of mystery around his identity. No one in public has seen his face. So there's this element of costume and this element of mystery that surrounds his character. It's not only a character; it's actually really good music. Um, his first album was kind of like identified or labeled as indie country. Here the indie is out and it's full on production. Sony signed him and threw a big budget at him. Jay Joyce, a producer of Zach Brown Band and of Eric Church, took over the reins of the production. And the sound is grand. Very big production of these sometimes intimate songs that are either steeped in heartache, homoeroticism, humor, and I would say his magnificent voice, whether it's a deep croon or sometimes soaring into those really spectacular notes. Orville Peck can really sing and can really write music. Um, for those of you who like Elvis and Johnny Cash, I'm sure you will like it. The atmospheres are very 60s kind of. I don't know if I should call it pop or country pop, but definitely that 60s vibe is in here. Also, this beautiful artwork on the inside. Here's the masked cowboy again. And definitely the pony, the first album definitely turned into a full-on, strong, bold stallion, bronco. Yeah, yeah, yes. Cool it down. Um, First album after, I want to say, 8 or 9 years for the Yeah, yeah, yes. They've returned. Great return. Um, Album's name was taken from was inspired by a track of Lou Reed track that was on the Velvet Underground's album Loaded. Album that is produced by David Sitek from TV on the Radio, and it definitely shows, or actually, you can actually hear the influence of David Sitek. Yeah, yeah, yeahs have progressed from their early um, debut almost 20 years ago when they were like a power punk kind of band with great tunes into more of a synth rock at times. Um, and I think the influence of Karen O's previous project with Danger Mouse, which was called Lux Prima, kind of like seeps into this. So if you're familiar with that and TV on the Radio, you probably get an idea of what this record is like. Beautiful appearance by Perfume Genius on the opening track with some spectacular vocals. So number 7, Cool It Down. Yeah, yeah, yes. Number 6, Suede, or London Suede, or Suede as they are known in the UK. I guess I'll just hold up one of them for this purpose. Autofiction. This is their 9th album. Suede are a band from the 80s. Actually, sorry, 90s. And were in activity for about 10 years, during which they produced 5 albums. They disbanded and then reunited 10 years later, and this is the 4th album since they reunited. Teaming up with their producer from their early albums, Ed Buller, for an album that is totally different from the previous one that was called The Blue Hour, where it was a more dark and orchestrated production, similar to maybe Suede's second album, Dogman Star. This one is totally opposite. It's raw. Brett Anderson, the singer, referred to it as their punk album. The intention was to record the album, mix the album as if it were a live recording. If I were to say it's polished, it is not like all the other Suede records, but it has some great hooks, great songs, and Brett can still sing. one of the songs that touched me most was actually the opener, She Still Leads Me On, which was, I want to say, inspired and dedicated to Brett's mother, who had recently passed away. And the way he sings and remembers her is very quite touching. So I highly recommend Suede, or the London Suede, Autofiction. Number 5. Spiritualized. Everything Was Beautiful. Spiritualized is no other than Jason Pierce. This is also a band from the 90s. I think they're on their 9th album. And this album has everything in it. Influenced from psychedelia, gospel, classic rock, alternative rock, blues. Jason Pierce is just an amazing musician. He plays something like 16 instruments on this album. Just to give you an idea of what this album sounds like, if you are familiar with Phil Spector's Wall of Sound, I would say this is the closest, that would be the closest analogy to what this record is like. It is beautifully orchestrated, but not in a lush way, more in like a Wall of Sound kind of way. Highly recommend this one as well. Interesting, it's up for a Grammy for Best Packaging. I don't know if you could see it here, but this is actually perforated, and it's like a medicine box with a braille here. And you can actually cut this out and turn this into a little box. So, number 5, Everything Was Beautiful, Spiritualized. Wet Leg, with their self-titled debut. Wet Leg are a duo, 2 girls, Rianne Teasdale and Hester Chambers, from the Isle of Wight. And this is their debut album. This came out in April. However, I only caught onto it very late in the year, and I was just like really pleasantly surprised. The hype is real, I want to say. They're also up for a Grammy for Best New Artist, Best Alternative Album, maybe something else as well. But this record is fun, energetic, exuberant, post-punk, I would call it, and psych pop, some people have labeled it. I don't know where they come up with these labels, but it's definitely a very energetic rock album with great vocals, and also a great tribute. I'd like to call it tribute than ripoff. The song called I Don't Want to Go Out unmistakably is inspired by the guitar riff of Man Who Sold the World. So Wet Leg, their self-titled debut album. And now at number 3, for greater part of the year, this album from when it came out, in my mind was, okay, something really great has to come out to top this. Otherwise, this would be my favorite album of the year. And it is The Smile. The Smile is no other than is a collaborative project of 2 members of Radiohead. That's Tom York and Johnny Greenwood. Backed by Tom Skinner, by drummer Tom Skinner of Sons of Kemet. I blanked out for a second. And this is as close to a Radiohead album you'll get. There are elements of, each side project that Johnny Greenwood has had in all his soundtracks, and the solo work of Tom York, they all kind of like make their appearance in here on this album. And I want to say it is very much rooted in, the sound of Radiohead. 2 of my favorite tracks that are like just, I think they're classics by now in their repertoire, Panavision and Speech Bubbles. Yes, I'll show you also the amazing artwork. Really cool artwork of this album. So that was it. Number 3, almost made it to number 1, but I got beat out by 2 other albums. The Smile, a light for attracting attention. Number 2, and here we are, Wise Blood, and In the Darkness, Hearts Aglow. This is Natalie Maring's 5th album. That's who Wise Blood is. Some people have labeled her as orchestral pop. Yes, she does sound a lot like Karen Carpenter. Beautiful voice. But on this album, she is in full bloom, I want to say. The orchestrations are beautiful. The songwriting is really top notch. And just for those of you who love the Beach Boys, will definitely love Children of the Empire. I think it's the 2nd track on here. I don't know what else to say other than listen to this album. It came out late in the year. It comes in at number 2, Wise Blood, and In the Darkness, Hearts Aglow. And now, drum roll, for my favorite album of the year, Angel Olsen, Big Time. This is her 5th album as well, if we're not counting kind of like the unplugged version or stripped down version of All Mirrors. All Mirrors was the predecessor to this one, which was her 4th album. Then like a year later, she put out a stripped down version of the songs that were on All Mirrors, which had a very grand production. I want to say it was very dramatic. This album instead pares it down quite a bit, influenced by Americana and country. Beautifully recorded, beautifully played. The musicianship on this album is stellar. Beautifully produced, again, by Jonathan Wilson. We found him at number 10 producing Father John Misty, and here he is again producing probably one of the best albums of the year and my personal favorite of the year. Angel Olsen's voice is amazing as usual, and this is a very personal album to her. It was recorded shortly after the loss of 2 of her parents, shortly after she came out to them as well. So it was a very difficult time for her. The lyrics are very raw, and I just find that she pours her heart out. I connected to it, and I hope you will as well. So my record of the year is Angel Olsen, Big Time. So if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. There will be more videos coming. Like the videos, dislike the videos, comment, share your thoughts, recommend some other records that I may have missed throughout the year. I don't know if I'll get around to doing another video before the end of the year, just to sum up some other releases that were bubbling under that didn't make my final top 10. So that's it for now, folks, and I will see you on the next one, and thanks for tuning in.